of Hay, and we are essentially on the third section of that page, beginning with umnum. So we are still on the Ayin of Eris and Kalim, and we pointed out in the previous Maimer, and we brought it down briefly here, that in Atzilus there are these two inyonim. There's the oil and the Kalim. Oil is not a new creation. Oil is what's called Gilui HaHelem, where the Helem becomes revealed, which means it is the very same that was before the Gilui, but now, before it was Behelem, now it's Begilui. This is the union from Oiris Atzilus. And then there is Kalim, which is a creation, what's called Be'ein Aroich, which means it's a step down. It's a different category completely. But they had a question. The Pasuk says, "V'chochma me'ayin timotze." Me'ayin timotze means that which is above chochma is ayin relative to chochma. Chochma is a new find that didn't exist before.
But just to clarify here, the Kalim, they are a step down. They are a creation. They are a new creation. In contrast to what we said about life.
Right.
And then we went from there to chochma me'ayin. Because
so this is what we explained in the previous moment. Now we have a question on this principle.
Yeah.
And the question is, the Pasuk says, "Chochma me'ayin timotze," and chochma is something which is found from ayin, which means it does not pre-exist before, and it came as a novel find, which means it is a creation be'ein aroich. It was not existed before. It's be'ein aroich. Otherwise it is not me'ayin and it's not timotze. It is there existing. No?
Is it new then? If it's yesh me'ayin means it's a new thing?
Yesh me'ayin means that it's a different category completely. That relative to its source, it's ayin. The source is ayin.
So it's like a new creation.
It's like a new creation.
So why isn't it a new creation? Why is it like a new creation? Why isn't it a new creation?
Wow.
Well, because chokhmah has the quality of being bittul to its makah, as l'chein it has the quality of its makah as well. Sort of a paradox. Be something new, but yet it still maintains bittul the qualities of the old, so to speak.
When you find something, a metzia, you never expected to find it, and the metzia could be of a category that is completely beyond what you're used to. You find $1 million or $1 billion, a treasure. You have no shaykhs to this treasure prior. Now it's completely fine. Was it treasure there before you found it?
For sure.
Huh?
For sure it was there.
So it wasn't created at the moment when you found it.
No. It was new for me.
It was new for you. And in this situation, it is like something new completely. But it wasn't really a new creation. It's like new. It's like because it's shalei be'erech to its to the source, but it is not really new.
Why?
As we have declined that you deserve an answer to every question. But we have to go out of this place, so to speak.
Is the question, why is it new to you? The question is,
why is it not new? The truth is that it's not new. So why is it so?
No, it's new to you, but it's not. But it's like new. It's not really new. Why is it not really new? I'll try to make it simple. If it doesn't work, we'll go to the broader thing. You bring a table into this room. Before you brought the table into this room, there was no table. But when you brought the table into this room, that did not create the possibility of the table being there. So there was room for the table before that. The room for the table is provided for by the room itself. The table is new, but it's not new in the absolute sense, because the possibility of it being there was not created at this time when you brought it there. The room itself, or maybe the room or the area in general, had no table in it, but it had provision for it. This is why it's not totally new. Totally new means something that makes its own place. Gashmius, relative to Ruchnius, is called Yesh Me'ayin, the emes of Yesh Me'ayin. Because the Gashmius does not only need a place to be. The whole principle of Gashmius doesn't exist. It's being created. Hello? The whole principle of Gashmius is making its own place. Gashmius defines itself. It was not predefined before. There's nothing that prepares a preparation for Gashmius.
It could be like the room. It's provided a place.
No, it doesn't provide a place.
It's not a mukam. It does not provide for Gashmius.
No. The Gashmi is mugdar in Zman Umokim, but the Gashmi is a direct creation.
Mashiach can by Chokhmah, it's a little bit like Or.
Right.
The Gashmius is still a creation. It doesn't make its own place. It's created by the Abishur.
Yeah, but it's of course. The Abishur creates something that exists at this place, in this level. Doesn't exist before. What?
You're saying that is actually, as opposed to what we're talking about now, which is like new, that actually is new?
That's right. Gashmi is mamish yesh me'ayin.
And Chochmah is
Chochmah is misod b'bchinas yesh me'ayin. It has certain qualities, certain aspects to it, like me'ayin, but it's not really. He said chochmah me'ayin timotzi, but it's like something that you find. When you find something, I'll explain to you. You find something means that it was there before. You can't find things that didn't exist.
another question. Why, when it said Bechinas, it means it's a testing tool. So why is that being called an aspect?
A what?
Why is when something is being a testing tool, that's called an aspect? Bechinas, short term, we call aspect. Why don't we say it's a testing tool? Why is it not only an aspect of the whole thing? It's a testing to the whole thing. Why is it
Just a testing to an aspect of it.
The word aspect means exactly that. It happens to be a correct word for it. Aspect means that it's not a thing, a presence, but it has certain qualities of it. It's quality without a body, with an aspect. Alright. Hope he comes back soon because. Alright, anyways. Alright. So therefore we have this question. Here we say that the oiros are Gilui HaHela, which means it is the same exactly the same thing that was there before, but now then it will be Behelem and now it's Begilui.
That's different from Chochmah and Ayin.
No,
It seems to be like the others. You just happen to not be aware, and then you come into awareness. They were there before, same as they ever were.
But when you say that something that you find means that you didn't expect anything to be there.
Yeah.
Chochmah is not in that category. I mean, normally when we say Gilui HaHela means that it is there Behelem. It's Mangala, that which is Behelem.
Okay.
All right, you know what? We're not gonna, a brave attempt to circumvent the question, but I wanna we already started by Mr. last time, and I want to conclude a certain discussion that we started.
Hi, Paltiel. It's just Yehuda. I'm on. Just want to let you know.
Hi, Yehuda. All right, it's good that you're there. There's a certain aspect that clarifies this entire phenomenon. We started discussing last time, trying to identify the difference between day and light. And nowadays we have a very, very clear approach to this, because light as defined in the world is not really light, is energy that deflects from the object. Doesn't really reveal anything. You know indirectly that the object is there. It's not really revealed. But we also have the experience of daylight in the physical world, and we also sense that daylight has a different process.
Different from light.
Different from light. As we said, that light, if it reveals this object and this object, it's a separate little light that deflects from this object and separate little light that deflects from this object. Whereas daylight is not distinguished by its effect. Daylight simply removes the darkness, and automatically everything becomes visible. Before it was not visible, now it becomes visible, so everything becomes visible. The whole helem is removed. Gilui HaHelem. The whole helem is removed. In light, we are aware that we are aware of this object and this object. We are aware of many things. In daylight, we don't define it, I'm aware of this street and that street. The whole possibility of not seeing doesn't exist. I want to introduce a new approach to understanding this principle. In reality, okay.
Well, a new thing to clarify what we just talked about daylight.
To understand the difference between daylight and focused light and generated light.
Okay. I mean, it does seem fairly clear. The one's a kind of complete paradigm shift. The other one addresses things piecemeal.
Okay.
And what's
missing?
No. Also, what's the nimshal? Why did we came into this to clarify Oros and Kalim?
The difference between Gilui HaHelem and Yesh Miyai and Yesh.
Gilui HaHelem versus Yesh Miyai.
But Yesh, that it. That it's not, that Oyer is not Bein HaRoich. And one said Yesh Miyai Timothy is like Bein HaRoich, but really we said that Oyer is not Bein HaRoich. It's Nimshach Miyai Lefnei HaTimtzum, and it's a Bli Gvul. And the others are bli ma, b'chinas pshitus. The others are also pshitus. Pshitus means it's not something that is being novelly created.
Okay, so just to finish that sentence, we are looking at this, the day versus daylight. Clarify the difference between Gilui HaHelem
and a novel revelation, a novel creation, a novel presentation.
Which is different from Yesh Miyai, but
it's similar to Yesh Miyai. It's Ayin Yesh Miyai.
Okay.
We said many times that the light shines in our world. Since our world is in essence dark, light does not remove the darkness, does not make the world not dark. The fundamental state of the world that is dark remains. But light enables you to see, even though it's dark. Because the light deflects from the object, and it tells you there's an object there. It doesn't become light. We call it light in this. Okay, this. I don't want to go into this, but this is something which It has not removed darkness. It enables you to see despite the fact that it's dark. Daylight, on the other hand, this is called Gilui HaHelam. It removes darkness. It actually removes darkness. As a result, everything becomes obvious. Everything that's there becomes obvious because it's there. So now the question is, if it is there, why were you not able to see it before and now you're able to see it? It's there. Why can't you see it?
Concealed.
What?
It was concealed. Perhaps.
What concealed it?
Darkness.
How is it? How is darkness concealed? It's there. Did it change the fact that it's there? What kind of state is this that is there and yet you don't see it? Seems like a fantastic question. Why is it that? What's the rationale of this? How do we relate to this?
It's like in a person. Something missing in him. The governor.
Okay. If we follow through this question, we will have a very clear view of what we're talking about. The reason you don't see it, yes, the object is absolutely there, but it's there, not here. It's there. It's not here. In order for you to know it's there, you have to go and touch it in its place. So from the place where you are, it's like you're not here.
But the whole idea of seeing is that you don't have to touch it.
Stay with me, okay? Thank you. So that's why you don't see it, because it's not here. So what happens when you're unable to see it? There are two ways that you are unable to see it. One is that it's brought to you over here. How is it brought to you in here? You shine a light on it, and the light deflects from the object and brings the object to your eye.
Another is daylight.
Huh?
Another way is daylight itself.
This is physically. This is how you're able to see it. So it's not really sight in the sense. You bring the object to you. It's like touching it with your eye. Then there is another way, another completely different phenomenon of seeing. In order to understand this other way, you have to have a little bit of a background discussion. You're saying it's there and it's not here. What's the difference between there and here?
Lack of contact.
Is there and here entirely two different phenomena, or there is any kind of unity between there and here? Physically speaking, they're entirely separate entities. Each object occupies its own place. And from a physical perspective, actually each object makes its own place. Like the concept in the world, the competitive concept, that everything fights for its own place and makes and establishes its own base. But then we have a completely different view and a completely different reality. What is that reality? That things are here not because they are here, but because Hashem makes them, Hashem creates them. There's a creator to everything. In terms that there is a creator, so there and here and everywhere is the same thing. It's exactly the same location. If it is there, if it exists, because Hashem provides for its existence, so then it exists everywhere. Physically speaking, when he said daylight, what daylight does is that it lets you see the object. What it tells you is not the object is over there. The object is in your world. Because it removed the darkness, so you see the whole world. And you see everything that's in the world. You see it because it's in your world, not because it exists there. This is the big difference. Like we say, when daylight comes, when sun arises, when you have a light, saying, oh, there's a bright light, you can even see across the street. It makes sense. That's a correct statement. But when daylight, when sun rises, to say, oh, you have to see across the street is an incorrect description. Because it does not reveal to you the across the street or a distance. It reveals the entire environment, the entire reality. This is the difference between daylight and light. Light tells you about, it reveals to you every object individually. And it brings the object to you. It brings it from there to you, close to you. Through this deflection of light. Whereas daylight simply removes the darkness and makes you see the entire world. So you see things not the way because they come to you. You see them in their place. Because your place and their place is exactly the same place. This is mamash on the physical level, an experience of the principle of the godly presence. This is why light is of such tremendous significance to the human being and in Torah. Bring in light. What's bringing light? See this always say, there in the dark, bring some light. What's light? Light is that it gives you a sense that there is a reality behind everything. In the dark, then as I said, everything has to make its own place. Bringing back what I mentioned before, the competition and all that. If people believe that they make their way in the world, they're constantly in a precarious situation. I have to safeguard my turf. I have to fight every inch, and if I don't fight, I'm going to lose it. But if we view our existence as part of the existence in the entire world that the Rebbe creates, and the Rebbe provides for everything, then it cannot be taken away from you. Like I said, the principle of ownership. Principle of ownership is a phenomenal thing. It's a godly gift. It's a godly declaration. You own a piece of the world. How do you open a piece of the world? Because this is not something that you own by grabbing it. Everything that you grab can be grabbed back from you. You own it because the Rebbe gave it to you.
What about if you say like, you earned it?
You can only earn functional aspect. You need food here. You earn the food that you need, but you can't earn something that you're not currently using. It's part of the world. It's not in your hand. How do you own it? Like I said many times, you have a home, you have 3 stories, and you have and you have an attic, and somebody climbs into your attic and say, "I'm not displacing you in any which way. I'm not interfering with your functional out in the house. I'm sitting in the attic, and you're going to call police and get him out of there. Why?
Because you exchanged your work for money, and you paid money.
No, this is too suicide. How is it interfering with you? It belongs to the world. So when you use it, you use it. But otherwise, it belongs to the world. It's part of the world. This is called ownership. This is only the Rebbe can provide this kind of ownership.
Why can't the guy in the attic say, well, the Abishter left the window open, so I climbed in, and now so he gave it to me?
That's right. You can say that, and we say, get out of here, right?
Can we? If the
Sure.
Abishter took it away from me and gave it to
You
him,
didn't take it away from him. Because there's a way that the Rebbe provided for transfer of ownership. You didn't. You can't grab things. You won't say, like you always ask the question, but the lion has his turf. If you occupy the turf of the lion, you're not scared of the lion. Are you going to be called a thief?
no,
Why not?
because the concept doesn't exist by animals.
What?
The concept doesn't exist.
But he fought for it. If human beings own their property the same way as a lion owns your property, what's the difference?
But
All right, that's it.
all right.
Okay, so what is the point? I want to explain. We started learning this next paragraph. Umnum, and this will help us understand what he's saying. So we have the question. It seems to be a contradiction. We finished explaining that the oir in Atzilus is a Gili HaHelam. Gili HaHelam means that you have the oil as it is in its source, like we explained in daytime. This is not, somebody quoted, the word Gili HaHelam should not be confused with Gili Min HaHelam. Gili Min HaHelam means something that you had in the original or higher state, and now you're revealing it, you're creating it. But now you're creating it outside of the Helam place. Gili HaHelam means that you're Megala the Helam as it is in the Helam. you see it in its original abode, in its original state. This means Gilui HaHelam.
In English, you say revealed from concealment.
From concealment.
Yeah,
It's
min ha'elam. But what do
Yeah.
we say in English for Gilui ha'elam? Do we say
The removing of the helam, of the
okay,
concealment,
removal of concealment, which is daylight?
which is like daylight, right? Daylight is a motion for this. Because in daylight you see an object not because you see the object, but because it's part of the same reality. The helam has been removed.
And so the darkness is essentially conceals this principle.
Right.
That
It doesn't conceal the principle, it conceals what's contained internally. And when you remove the darkness, then you see the way things are internally, not they're brought to you externally, outside. This is the real inyan of oil.
so darkness kind of makes you separate from the reality. It makes you separate from the
I'm not going to go any further. We're going to have to go on broaden that. Just want to explain what we're learning now. So we have the question.
Could we say that there's two ways of seeing? One would be when you see with a candle in the dark, and when you see through when it's daylight, it's two types of sight.
We just said that it's different things. What's the difference, the question is? Alright, I'm afraid it's just taken out of context. Let's get back in the context and be able to understand what this is about. So, we said the question that in Atzilus it is oiris and kelim. And we said oiris are gilui hahelam, which means it's not a new thing at all. It is that the helam has been removed and now you see what's inside the helam. Gilui hahelam. And then there is kelim, which is be'en arech. Between be'en arech kelim is that which is created on the outside, in the area of the world. But we say there's a pasuk that says "Chochma me'ayin timotzi," and chochma and me'ayin timotzi means that it's shlei b'yarech. Me'ayin it's found from ayin, and that refers to chochma not only to the kelim of chochma but to the oil of chochma. Kelim and chochma you understand because keli is me'ayin, is outside, but the oil of chochma. This we said this is the same oil that existed before, but now how do you say me'ayin timotzi?
And we answered that by saying it's new to us, or that's not a sufficient.
What?
And we answered that by saying it's new to us. It's as if we
No, we didn't answer
didn't
that.
answer it. Okay.
Umnum yesh leimer. However, what can be explained here is this: Shagam ha'oires esespheres, that even the oires of the esespheres, hanim shochem in hakav, that are actually drawn from the kav. What is the kav? The kav is the oir shelifnei hatzimtzum. But it is the oir shelifnei hatzimtzum that is reintroduced after the tzimtzum. Again, what is the significance of saying that it's the oil shelifnei hatzimtzum? What's the difference between oil shelifnei hatzimtzum or after the tzimtzum? So we explained this many times, and I want to remind ourselves. We always have to, when we think about oil, to understand what we mean by the word oil. Because in the sun, that which you get from the sun, there are two completely distinct aspects. We have the energy from the sun that is created by the heat of the sun, the energy. This is the physical light. This is not really light, this is energy. Then there's another aspect completely. We get the presence of the sun itself. What's the significance of the presence of the sun? The presence of the sun is what we call Etzem Behiri. Etzem, maybe we can...
Okay, see, I got it.
I can see people falling. I heard it.
The sun becomes hot.
Huh?
Speak about the sun.
The presence of the sun itself is a completely different principle. In order to help us focus on that, again, it's something novel in our thinking. If we have the moshel of the host and the guest. The host is the person who invites the guest for lunch. And he expresses his welcome by giving him lunch. What we always say, the lunch is only an external expression of that welcome. The real significance of this welcome is that he invited him into his home and he stays with him. He's his company. The host is giving him his own presence. The lunch is just an external manifestation of it. The lunch is like the energy of the sun, but the presence of the sun is a completely different effect. That is, the presence of the sun states there is no such thing as darkness. Etzem Behiri. If you would translate this in the host and guest arena, perhaps we can put it this way. The host has served him lunch. So the lunch is here on the table that he served. So he has what he needs. But the presence of the host says that it's not just what you have. There's no way that you're going to be missing anything. The host himself is here. There's no way that you're going to be missing anything. The minute something is missing, it's going to be felt. How do we treat guests at a wedding? If his napkin has to be, if he gets up, he comes up and folds up the napkin nicely, and sets the setting back. This is the principle of the host being present, not what he's giving, but the host itself. The sun presents.
But then we think again that the whole idea of the host is about food.
No, it's not about food. The food is a manifestation that the host is here, that he is welcome, that the host cares about him.
But what do we use now that there's nothing going to be missing? So
I'm pointing out that how how do you translate the yin that the host is here and the gashmis that level? Now, it's not going to be missing. Not that this is what it is. So the presence of the sun has a transforming effect. It's not just that the energy of the sun comes and hits the Yahweh, but the sun removes darkness, as we say all the time. Darkness does not exist in the sun, does not exist in the presence of the sun. The sun doesn't have to fight darkness. It eliminates it. Because why? Because it is etzem behiri. Because it is light be'etzem, not by effect, by creation. This is the meaning of oyer, the real meaning of oyer. The real meaning of oyer, like I said before in our discussion, that oyer makes it able to see in its own place, not it brings you the object outside. It enables you to see it inside. Just like the object itself knows that it's there, you know it's there also. This means oyer.
How can we sense this with our senses? How can we feel this
No,
with our
it's
senses?
no. So this is what you say, that there is oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum. What is oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum? Oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum is an oyer that is an oyer that is there because atzmus is there. Lifnei hatzimtzum. It's not an oyer, a focused oyer. That it's not a funnel there. It's an oyer because etzem is there and therefore the oyer is there. This is what oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum. That oyer cannot be accepted in the world. In the world, everything has to be funneled, has to be presented in a concise manner, in a limited manner. No matter what you give, but it has to be in a limited manner. That's why there was a tzimtzum. And what did the tzimtzum affect? The tzimtzum concealed this reality of light, and it allowed. And then it brought back this reality in light in a funneled, in a concise manner, in a directed manner. So the kav, a line. It's the same light, but now it comes in a line form rather than an open, because the etzem and revealing the etzem itself. It's still coming from the same source, still representing the same thing.
After the tzimtzum.
But it's after the tzimtzum. So, the kav itself, is representative of the oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum. As we said, mentioned, it's a reintroduction of the oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum. It goes through the tzimtzum, but it is the same oyer as before. Now, the terms over here, pshitus. What pshitus means? Simple. What does simple mean? For lack of a better way of explaining, pshitus simple means that something is there without having to be brought there. There's a simple reality. The kav has that element of pshitus. Why? Because the kav comes from the oyer shelifnei hatzimtzum. Lifnei hatzimtzum, everything is pshitus. The etzem is here, so therefore everything is there with pshitus. And then from this Oyer Shlifnei HaTzimtzum, and it comes into Kav, then it comes down further into Spheres. And this is what we're going to learn. Even though the Oyeres of the Spheres is also Oyer, and therefore it is also representative of the Etzem. Because the word Oyer again does not mean an energy source. Oyer means the presence of the Etzem truth. Perhaps I have the motion from the sun, and we have the other motion of a human being occupying a home. When there is a home, and the person purchases his home, and he steps into this home, as soon as he steps into this home, his presence is everywhere in the home. How? We ought to try to understand it, because this gives understanding to what a human being is. I've said many times, a human being is given by godly decree a right to be in this world. He is not an uninvited guest. The whole world is made for him. When God created the world, a human being, He said, I'm going to create a human being who's going to be representing me, and he will rule the world. He will set the world up according to his understanding, the way he wants. So as soon as all the was created, so God brought all the creatures before him, says, this is your world, name them. And Adam assigned names to all the creatures.
This is your world.
Huh?
It would seem that if he's saying this is your world, you would be presenting things with their names already. That's a world. But instead he's saying this is your world.
No,
you name them.
No, that's right. No. And think it over again, and you'll see that's not correct. It's your world, and I'm bringing him here, so you have to welcome them according to the way you want them to come.
And naming them is identifying their functions.
And then their place in the world.
And what they're doing there, and what they do there.
Why are they here?
I said before that something Satlatin, that the sun is a Etzem Behiri, not a creation, but it's a direct command.
The light is not a creation from the sun. It's not an energy emanating from the sun. It is the presence of the sun itself that makes things light automatically. Automatically. The sun, just like a person, occupies his home automatically. Doesn't have to visit every inch of the home in order to have the effect of his presence.
And what is that happens automatic? How can we understand that? I know it happens, it's automatic.
Okay.
But what?
We cannot understand it. The reason we cannot understand it is because we can only understand things functionally. But something what's called etzem is something. Etzem is not within the seichelic grasp. But we have a lot of allusions to it that enable us not to understand it, but to recognize it. To understand it is impossible.
But not to understand it, but what does it mean that it happens automatic?
I'm explaining to you. Perhaps in the illustration of the human being, we'll understand it better than in the sun. Because the sun, we have a confusion because there is the energy and we lose sight of it. It's we all know that a human being, the minute he's born, very instant that he's born. He's a presence in the world. And he has every right of the greatest person in the world who actually has an effect in the world. Every right. There's a halacha. This is a little bit of a painful halacha, but it's a halacha we're talking about actual thing. If sometime, especially in years ago, giving birth was sometimes a very, very challenging moment. Many women lost their lives during childbirth. People have various. I'm sure that today we don't have that. We hardly have that situation today. So the din is like this: that if the child is endangering the mother's life, then apidin, you're supposed to abort the child and to save the mother's life. This is as long as the head of the child has not protruded yet out of the womb. But the minute the head has protruded out of the womb, then the child is a full-fledged presence. And then you can't exchange one life for another.
To remain on this call, press 1.
They asked this question at the first debates, the Republican debates. They brought this up actually.
Yeah.
And they because the Christian they believe that the life comes from conception. So they said, how can you? One guy didn't have an exception for abortion for saving the mother's life, and they got into this issue. And I was thinking that they don't have the Torah to tell them exactly what.
The number chocolate, right? So that's the basic card. You would tell them. What is the significance of this life? What does it mean? He is a full-fledged individual, but he's an infant. He cannot do anything. He doesn't even know that he's alive. The mother is a mother. It directly brings us to face that the significance of a human presence in the world is not measurable in worldly terms at all. It's a godly decoration. This is a human being. This means etzem. Only God can create an etzem. God said that the human presence in the world, this is the reality of the world. This is what the world is all about. The presence, not what he's going to accomplish. Yes, then he has duties to accomplish. And he can fail in the duties, he can fulfill the duties. But his presence in the world is of that caliber. This is called an etzem. This is b'derech mamela. His presence in the world is b'derech mamela because he has a reality, a God reality.
B'derech mamela is like Baal Korcha? Is derech mamela is a similar to Baal Korcha? Derech mamela.
No, Baal Korcha means that it's forced. This doesn't be forced.
Oh, this is natural.
It's there automatically.
And we came to this because of Pashut. We came into this because of
right.
Yeah, Shita.
All right. So the oil is, so it says, I just want to get into this so they won't have to go back to it. So it says, Yesh Leimer, Shigam Ha'oiles as a spheres, that the oiles of the, not only the kelim, but the oiles of as a spheres also, Hanim Shochim in Akav, that are actually representative of the Kav. What is the Kav? The Kav is the oil, the Etzim oil, oil Shlifnei Atzim.
The kav itself or the or in the kav?
The oil that's in the kav. The kav consists of oil. It's called a kav because the oil comes in a kav form. And the Esser spheres are the oils that come from the kav, and therefore they come from the kav. They're oil, similar to the oil that's in the kav. So you would think that they have the same quality as the kav. But it does not mean to say shehem pshutim legamri, that they are totally pshutim k'moi pshitos or ein sof mamash. The same type of pshitos are the ein sof itself. What is ein sof? Ein sof is the oil shlifnei atzim. Unlimited oil. Translated and Armashonim. The human presence is unlimited. Why? Because it's focused on the presence itself. And when he comes into his home, we say that because Beis and I don't want to go into this whole thing. When he comes into his home, his presence automatically is present everywhere. He doesn't have to spread there, because his presence is believable in this level. This should be pshitos. The human being does not occupy, does not make the home his by any kind of action, any kind. How does it become his? In truth, by godly declaration. This is the concept of a kinyan in Torah. A kinyan, we're learning this in the Rambam, the kinyan. What's a kinyan? A kinyan is through the various actions that make the object yours. They're not very complicated actions, but it makes it yours. You coin it. What do you coin it? You coin the entire thing that you wanted to coin. How do you coin it? You're a little person. By digging a little hole on the ground, you acquire an entire field. How? You don't even know what's there. Once you do this, the Eibusha declares that this field is yours. You have to understand this is the reality of things. Ownership is by the godly declaration. It's not by interhuman agreement. It's not a conventional thing.
It's not. And digging the little hole is like a catalyst, like a signifier.
It's a signifier. But okay, you signify. What happens after the signifying? Then the Rebbe comes and fulfills and says, "Okay, this is yours." Only using halacha can be kind of you have a grasp of this, but this is phenomenal.
And inside we can't talk about ownership because inside we're saying what?
Yeah, pshitos. Pshitus hu Ein Sof. Was meint Ein Sof? Ein Sof is the oir Ein Sof that emanates, that comes directly before the Tzimtzum. It's meant Ein Sof. The principle of oir is pshitim, and because the oir is representative of the etzem from where it comes.
And here it's Ein Rotzelem.
Okay. We said that Esesphiris, even though we say Esesphiris also come from the Kav, and therefore they are pshutim, but they're not the pshitim, totally pshutus, like the pshutus of in South Mamash.
But the Kav is?
The Kav is. The Kav is the Oyer Shelifnei HaTzimtzum in the Kav form. But once it comes into Sphiris, there are already distinctions. For this, we gave the mashal, which will now just allude to it, the mashal of daylight versus light.
Is the difference between pshitos and eno pshitos.
Right. In daylight, everything becomes visible. Not you see it, it's visible in its source. Light brings the object back to you. It's a completely different phenomenon. If it brings the object back to you, it brings every object separately. Every color is identified individually. This is it for this morning.